Things are not looking good in the United States right now. The country just launched military strikes on Iran. Economists put recession probability between 30 to 42%, and unemployment has climbed to 4.5%. The labor market is in what analysts call a low hire, low fire equilibrium. Companies are not laying people off en masse, but they've essentially stopped hiring. I'm Elle of House of L on YouTube. I have a PhD in computer science, and I use data analysis to spot patterns in geopolitics and economics. American politicians have spent years promising that factory jobs will return to the heartland, that manufacturing will rebuild the middle class, that reshoring will restore prosperity. But here's what those promises actually delivered: robotics. When we look at recent data from business surveys, the picture becomes brutally clear. According to CNBC, 81% of businesses said that if manufacturing does come back to the US, they would use automation more than human workers, not alongside human workers, or like in AI terms, human in the loop. We mean more than human workers here. The factories are coming home, but the jobs are not. The Reshoring initiative reports that 327,000 jobs were reshored or created through foreign direct investment in 2024. Politicians celebrated these numbers as vindication. What they don't mention is what those jobs actually look like and how few of them exist relative to the capital investment required. Just consider the math for a second. Federal Reserve analysis notes that getting manufacturing back to just 12.3% of total U.S. employment would require adding 6.6 million workers. That would still be far below the 22% manufacturing employment share that America had in the 1979 years. To reach 1979 levels, the U.S. would need to increase manufacturing employment to 34.7 million workers. That is a significant number. The challenge, however, isn't just numbers. It is that improved automation means factories simply don't need as many people anymore. This is the part politicians strategically don't say when they promise a manufacturing renaissance. And here's where pattern recognition from financial systems becomes very useful. When you examine corporate capital expenditure data, the story is very clear. Companies successfully reshoring learn that the combination of automation and technology investment is essential. The path to bringing manufacturing back includes data analytics, machine learning, Internet of Things, and AI, all of which reduce reliance on human labor. Major companies are already executing this playbook. General Motors, GE Appliances, Intel, US Steel, and Lockheed Martin are investing billions in new manufacturing facilities. Walmart announced a $350 billion investment. These are not job creation programs, they're automation deployment strategies with some human supervision. Germany is rapidly exiting American tech products, partly because European governments recognize how automation concentrates wealth while eliminating middle-class employment. We have a separate video on this. France is leading Europe's detoxification from dependency on American economic models that sacrifice workers for efficiency. We have a separate video on that one as well. The jobs being created in modern American factories bear little resemblance to the assembly line work politicians invoke. New manufacturing roles include automation technicians, industrial data analysts, and digital twin engineers. These require familiarity with digital tools and data platforms, which are skills that displaced factory workers from the 1990s and 2000s typically don't possess. The National Association of Manufacturers warns that over 2 million manufacturing jobs could go unfilled by 2030 due to lack of skilled labor, not because jobs don't exist, but because the aging workforce of skilled technicians is retiring while too few replacements enter the pipeline. Manufacturing is still seen by many young people as dirty, low-paid, or unstable, not that it is, despite high salaries in modern automated roles. Meanwhile, the economic environment makes this transition even more precarious. Real consumer spending is projected to slow to 1.6% in 2026, down from 2.6% just last year. The wealthiest 10% of American consumers now generate nearly half of all spending, according to Moody's Analytics. As one economist put it, and I'm quoting here, the bottom half of the economy is already in recession to some extent, and this creates a very vicious cycle. Automation eliminates middle-class jobs, which concentrates wealth at the top, which reduces broad-based consumer spending, which makes companies even more reluctant to hire humans when machines cost less and don't require healthcare or retirement benefits. If you're thinking about improving your ability to spot these structural economic shifts before they become obvious, my book, Awake, the Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies, breaks down the critical thinking framework I use for this kind of analysis. It's available in ebook and audiobook. Subscribers get 10% off, and you can grab the first chapter for free through the links in the description. The political messaging around reshoring relies on nostalgia for an economic model that sadly doesn't exist anymore. When Trump and other politicians promise factory jobs, they're invoking images of the 1960s assembly lines where a high school graduate could get hired at a local plant and support a family on a single income. That world, much to everyone's pain, mine included, is gone, and automation ensures that it's never going to come back. Deloitte's research on reshoring identifies what is actually driving the trend. Not job creation, but greater resilience against global supply chain disruption and geopolitical risks. Companies are bringing production closer to reduce shipping costs and avoid tariff uncertainty. The irony is that the same politicians promising manufacturing jobs, I can think of a certain president who's done that, are also pushing policies that accelerate automation. The 2025 tax bill includes provisions for full expensing of capital investments, which means companies get tax breaks for buying robots, not necessarily for hiring humans. Stanford economists analyzing 2026 economic indicators note that while manufacturing construction spending has increased, actual employment in the sector has been very stagnant. New factories are being built, but they're designed from the ground up to operate with minimal human input. There's another dimension worth examining here as well. The jobs that do exist in reshored manufacturing increasingly concentrate in specific geographic clusters with existing tech infrastructure and skilled labor pools. Research on reshoring patterns shows investment flowing to areas that already have advantages, not to the Rust Belt communities that lost manufacturing jobs in the first place. As one analyst told Manufacturing Dive, another quote here, "We don't have thousands and thousands of factories where we could put this kind of manufacturing in place in America. We don't have the roads and bridges and ports and other infrastructure that's required." Building that infrastructure would take 10 to 15 years. The jobs being promised for next election cycle literally cannot exist yet. Meanwhile, Europe maintains different priorities. European manufacturing policy still emphasizes human employment alongside automation, with stronger labor protections during technology transitions and equity programs to help workers access training. The European model accepts slightly lower productivity in exchange for broader-based prosperity. And on the other hand, the American approach optimizes for capital returns. When JP Morgan's 2026 outlook discusses manufacturing, it frames investment in terms of profit margins and shareholder value, not really job creation or wage growth or human well-being. That is not necessarily a moral failing. It's just a rational behavior in a system designed to maximize returns to capital rather than returns to labor. Here's what the next 5 to 10 years likely will hold. More factories will return to American soil as companies reduce exposure to Chinese supply chain risk and take advantage of government subsidies. Those factories will be architectural marvels of automation, clean, efficient, profitable, cool from a scientific perspective. They will employ, however, a small number of highly skilled technicians earning good salaries. They will not employ the millions of workers who lost manufacturing jobs over the past 40 years. Those people are probably now in their 50s and 60s without the technical training required for modern manufacturing roles, geographically distant from where new factories are being built and facing a labor market that has sadly moved on. The wealth generated by automated American factories will flow to shareholders, executive compensation, and the small technical workforce required to maintain the systems. It will not rebuild the broad middle class the mid-century American manufacturing created. For more on how American economic policy is creating structural fragility while European approaches maintain more resilience, check out my video on your screen right now on how Trump is literally losing control of the bond markets completely. Even his own base now finds him to be a liar. The link is down in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.